That's why my farewell address tonight, I want to warn the country of some things that give me great concern.
But I just realized this secret project
This is
is
a dangerous and that's a dangerous concentration of power in the hands of a very few ultra-wealthy people.
You know, we are entering an era of oligarchs. Here, let me surmise what Joe Biden's saying here. We are entering an era of oligarchs with visions of a techno-feudalistic future, right? You don't say. It appears we have some breaking news. Apparently, Joe Biden has joined our channel. He's joined the Chud Report. There's his profile right there. Well, welcome to the channel, Joe. We've been talking about the emerging oligarchy for the past 3, 4, 5 years. I've been talking about it long before I had a YouTube channel, the past 10, 20 years. Make sure you like and subscribe, buddy.
Trump is the new Adolf.
Welcome to the Chud Report. I'm your host, MJ. We have 1 day left. 1 day till we enter this new era, a post-democratic republic American era. Thank you to everyone who has stuck with me on this channel, the OGs. I'm not closing it. Sounds like I'm about to close it. Oh no, I'm going through this with you. I'm going through this with you at least until Google is pressured to take down videos that oppose anything, this oligarchy puts out. So I'm there until that. I just want to say I appreciate you staying here on this channel, interacting, commenting, and being a part of the community. Now let's get into it. Today's episode is sponsored by Aura. Stop leaving yourself vulnerable to data breaches. You see this link right here? Go to today's episode sponsor, get a 14-day free trial, and see if any of your data has been exposed. If you're a regular subscriber to this channel, if you're watching today's episode, if you clicked on this episode, I'm pretty sure you know deregulation has severely limited any kind of consequences for these large companies that don't protect your data. It's like the wild, wild west out here. Just today, I logged into Aura. Social Security. My Social Security number has been on the dark web since March of last year. It's been out there a year. In 2024, the national public data was breached. You guys hear about this story? This is the LA Times. It exposed 2.9 billion records. That's billion with a B. Phone numbers, addresses, social security numbers, everything out there you need to steal someone's identity. So I used Aura's credit checker here. I fuzzied it out. You don't need to know my credit, right? To make sure that my identity had been stolen. And in the process, I realized I have pretty good credit, enough to buy a boat. So stop leaving yourself vulnerable to identity theft. Let the experts at Aura monitor your credit for you while you're, hanging out on your new boat. And if I may, can I be honest with you for a second out there? Don't buy a boat, all right? Even if you have great credit, don't buy a boat. Even when you check Aura and your credit's great, don't buy a boat. The best 2 days of owning a boat are the day you buy it and the day you sell it. Go to today's sponsor right here. Get that 14-day free trial and see if any of your data has been exposed. And now that we protected your identity, let's get out there and talk about some of these people that are trying to harvest it. On Tuesday, NBC News reported that tech billionaires Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and Mark Zuckerberg will have a prominent seat on the platform at Trump's inauguration. They're going to be standing right behind him. Those seats are usually reserved for family members, former presidents, and prominent politicians. But why would you do that in this new era we're entering, right? Giving those seats to billionaires signals loudly that this is a new era of an oligarchy. You think NBC News, without even an attempt to feign allegiance to pre-Trump notions of government for and by the people? You ever see those chuds with that sticker in the back of their pickup truck that says we the people? Yeah, we the people. Worship the oligarchs behind me. And chances are people with that sticker, they're the same ones who are like, $9. Eggs costed $9 for that 1 week. Gas was $4, right? And I needed to get gas to go get the eggs. That's like $13 for eggs. So to those people out there, I'm here to comfort you. You can rest your pretty little heads. Those days are over. Literally those days. It was a couple days when eggs cost $9. Those days are over. This billionaire class standing behind your president, right? Your daddy. That's weird. That's a weird thing to call a politician, Charlie Kirk. Why would you call a politician dad? I guess we're starting to learn why Charlie Smallface is the way he is. Do you love me, daddy? I don't know. How does Charlie Kirk talk? How does child Charlie Kirk talk? Sound like one of those chimney sweeps. Do you love me, daddy? Who could love someone with such a small face, son? Such a small face, such a huge head. You destroyed your mother's vagina. You know, hot dog down a canyon in there now. You destroyed her vagina. And when you came out, she looked at your face to know that smile, that smiling baby was all worth it. And your face was so tiny. Your mama couldn't even see that smile. So no, son, I don't love you. I don't love you. And for legal purposes, that reenactment of Charlie Kirk's birth was 100% researched and nonfiction. Rest your pretty heads. This oligarchy sitting behind the trust funder. Right? Put those two sentences together. And pretend your eggs, your $9 eggs, are ever going to be a priority again. In fact, the only eggs that are going to be a priority for the next 4, 20, 30 years, you know, the only eggs they're going to care about are the ones inside a woman's body. You guys all remember that trad wife episode, that Katie Britt, right? You know, first she tried to block in vitro, right? And then it came out, and then she's, oh no, I'm not going to block it, because she thought they were human. Every single one of these Republicans have a villain story. It's kind of crazy. Katie Britt was hit with eggs as she endured teenage bullying. And now she wants to ban all eggs. She said, I still have the wounds. Well, come omelet. Come on. I don't know. Trying to combine Katie with omelet, make it political. Sounds a little bit too much like Kamala for that. Maybe Britt omelet? None of these sound good. Let's not use any of these. Remember to edit this out. Katie Britt wants all eggs fertilized. I need all eggs fertilized so kids can't throw them at my face. Right? How pathetic. She says she still has the wounds. You know what I mean? Talk about the scars of getting eggs thrown at you. How about giving birth to your rapist baby when you're 13 years old? You think that might leave a deeper scar than an egg?
We are moving rapidly into an oligarchic form of society. Never before in American history have so few billionaires, so few people had so much wealth and so much power. Never before has there been so much concentration of ownership, sector after sector, power of Wall Street, and never before in American history, and we better talk about this, have the people on top had so much political power. We can't go around the world saying, oh, well, you know, in Russia, Putin has an oligarchy. Well, we got an oligarchy here, too. And in this last election, in both parties, billionaires spent huge amounts of money to elect
most
their
ever.
candidates.
When you're right, you're right. You know what I mean? And that's Bernie. He's been saying the same thing his entire career. He didn't wait till 6 days before he was leaving the Oval Office to mutter out this thing that's happening, this thing that is going to destroy our democratic republic. You know how the chuds are wearing that hat that says Trump was right about everything? He was right about everything. You know, drink Drano or whatever he was telling them to do. He was right about everything. I need a hat that says Bernie was right about anything. Because in the 25 years I've been involved in politics around it, the guy's batting 1,000, at least 950. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend like Biden didn't do anything good. Biden did good things, like Obama. Just like Obama. Just like any time you put one of these crazy new age, Newt Gingrich Republicans in there, you're going to inherit a car in a ditch. And just like Obama in 2008, you know, took him 2 full years, Obama, 2.5 years of his presidency to fix what Bush had done. But just like Obama, Biden inherited the car in the ditch and he got the car back on the road.
The concentration of technology, power, and wealth. You know, his farewell address, President Eisenhower spoke of the dangers of the military-industrial complex. He warned us then about, and I quote, the potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power, end of quote. 6 decades later, I'm equally concerned about the potential rise of a tech-industrial complex.
Tech-industrial complex, like Dwight here, right here. Biden put this out 6 days before not only leaving office, not only leaving the White House, but leaving politics forever. And after 50 plus years of this crap, I'm here to tell you, Mr. Right here, Mr. I bought Tesla, Mr. I bought Twitter, this dweeb right here, that's never invented anything or built anything. He buys and he LARPs like the smartest man in the world, right? What exactly did Joe Biden think was going to be the end game of trickle-down economics started by Ronnie Reagan? Because 50 years ago, he was there, right? We got a picture. Camera technology had just been invented. There he is right there. He knew about trickle-down. Biden called it a reprise of Republican trickle-down economics. Trickle-down never went anywhere. Look at this. Since Reagan, the middle-class portion of the pie has dropped by more than 10%, right? We're at an impasse as a democratic republic. You know? No democratic republic can function with this kind of disparity. The largest transfer of wealth to the top 1% in our history. These morons are talking about eggs for a couple days being $9. The ultra rich and the poor have stamped out a middle class. And now our economy resembles, the dictator revolving door of your LATAM countries from Latin America for the past 60 years. And just look at the disparities when it comes to economic equality, DEI, all this racial stuff. They all want you fighting a race war because they don't want you fighting a class war. Mexico, Chile, Costa Rica, those are only the developed economies. This is where we're heading. Aristotle once said, dance like nobody is watching, right? But that's the wrong quote for this episode. That's not the quote we're going to be using for this episode. That's the quote we're using for an episode next week. Right? Where I teach everyone how to be a stripper. It's the job I did before this. It was a high class, low class stripper. Puts me right in the middle. I was a middle class stripper. And I'll teach you how to do it so you can buy those $9 eggs. A little tip, a little preview for next week's episode on how to be a stripper. Here, I'll give you one for free without even having to watch next week. Show a boob. Aristotle argued in his work Politics. That takes me back. That takes me back to my undergrad when I was dancing like nobody was watching. He argued that a strong middle class helps stabilize a society because it prevents the extremes of wealth and poverty from clashing too violently. Makes sense, right? It made sense in 400 BC. It makes sense today. We are at an impasse. And this thing right here, right? This thing has been so effective in propagandizing, connecting, linking up all the morons out there in this country, that this graph doesn't spark one of these. We're not going to get a Marie Antoinette under any other time in history and under any other circumstance. That's what this would spark. That's who they would be mad at. But you know what it sparked instead? It sparked one of these. That's how powerful the propaganda is, how powerful the memes are, right? A group, a cult of personality, so detached from their government. You know what I mean? So detached from having any kind of relationship to that, where they interact, where they go through avenues to make their lives better, to make their neighbor's life better. They actually wanted to overturn the government 4 years ago, to give it to the oligarchs. They have the self-awareness of chickens being led to a slaughter. And you know what those chickens are crying about? Why they're being led to a slaughter? They're crying about their eggs. Look, I don't want this episode to be too dark, all right? But honestly, I sit here, many of you probably sit here, and just wonder when this levee's going to break. Because a democratic republic, it can't stand with these conditions, right? They all voted. They all came out, all the morons. They cried about their eggs. They cried about their gas. They voted. And now they've sunk back into their propaganda safe spaces. They do it every 4 years. And to add another layer on top of that, to tuck them in even tighter into these safe spaces, right? Add this layer of the corporate media's reluctance, dereliction of duty to defend itself against Trump's legal aggression. Right? All they've been doing, ABC, all of them, Bezos, the Washington Post, all they do is just throw money at him so they can sit behind him, right? They kiss this ass from every angle. And don't worry. If anyone's out there worried about his ass chafing from so much kissing, it's so big he can handle it. He has a huge ass, and it gets bigger and stinkier throughout the day. But that's how Bezos likes it. A self-reinforcing cycle of billionaire influence and institutional, acquiescence. What good is having all the money of these people, right? All the money. With the combined personality, you add all these people together. You take that personality score, I don't know. It's equal to a parking meter with Wi-Fi. They want absolute control over you because absolute control over you helps stabilize their billions and billions of dollars. Everything you do. If you can't leave them as a company, if you can't go off the farm with them, then they can plan, for the next billion. And it's guaranteed. And if you're thinking, MJ, go deeper into what you're talking about right now. Go deeper. Well, you're in luck because we have a whole libertarian episode that dives into techno-feudalism, right? And the final results they're looking for. I mean, look at this. Elon wants Americans pumping out at least 10 babies. And contrary to popular belief, it's not just because he loves babies, because he loves life so much. He wants workers. He wants slaves. Even when you break out, when you go to college, if you're lucky enough to go to college in this day and age, it gives you a slightly better chance at a decent living. But even then, they place the shackles of debt on you, right? And those can't even be removed. Student loans can't even be removed, even if you pull a Donald Trump, even if you go bankrupt. Techno-feudalism is the end result. You work directly for an oligarch. They control your food, your health, where you live. And if you think I'm being dramatic, Elon's even starting a company town equipped with 24-hour surveillance. He's naming it Snailbrook. Apparently, he came up with the name after, Lori here visited. Left behind a little bit of a trail. Snailbrook, right? I love you. I love you, Bobart. Company towns, robber barons, an oligarchy ruling class, right? In this emerging Gilded Age, concentrated power extends beyond money. It permeates institutions that once served as checks and balances. Like the press, the Fourth Estate. That guy right there who's going to be sitting behind Trump. Getting a good view of what he's going to be kissing later. The Washington Post. Give it millions of dollars. If you need a refresher on the Gilded Age was a charming time, right? It was a beautiful time at the turn of the century. Robber barons built railroads across this land. Mansions. They lived in their mansions while everyone else got to experience child labor. Sounds amazing, right? Look at Sarah Huckabee licking her chops. She's licking her chops so hard at the thought of this, she needs to take an extra shot of Ozempic today. A time when healthcare was cheap. That's what we could go back to in this Gilded Age. Healthcare was cheap because it was either drink whiskey or do cocaine. A lifestyle that Don Jr. has adopted. Look how well he looks. We could all be Don Jr.'s. So congratulations. We all have rockets. We all have smartphones now. But the economic gap, corporate power, feels mighty familiar to the 1890s here. Right? We're reenacting them with better tech and worse social media. Yes, I said worse social media. You don't even have to go back to the 1890s. You could go back to when I was a kid, right? You used to have to walk past the crazy conspiracy people. They would yell at you, right? You used to have to walk past them. Why 5G created COVID. In the past, even in the 90s, the early 2000s, that guy would have to go out onto a sidewalk and yell that to you while standing in front of his 20 jars of piss. Now when I see that guy's conspiracy, I don't even see him. I'm way downstream from it. Way downstream. Kind of a weird choice of words for a guy that pees in jars. I get a memified version on Facebook, right? But when you used to have to walk by, when you used to have to look at the pee guy jar in person, yelling at you, you would have to consider the source. Because it was right there, But now when P-Jar guy names himself Cat Turd Online, you don't get that mirror. You don't get that mirror of who you are, of what you've become by taking this information from them and using it to spread on your own. You're all just pea-jar guys. So what does this all mean? Like for the rest of us, right? For these next couple years, these next 4 years, the next years of my entire life. What does it mean? Well, if you're not afraid of Elon living in Snailbrook, you might want to buckle up. The cost of living is high enough to ask for a cosign on your next egg carton. And these laws are being reshaped by people who'd rather buy entire companies. People that rather buy entire presidencies. Do you know where the term Gilded Age comes from? It was coined from the title of a satirical novel by Mark Twain and Charles Dudley Warner. The Gilded Age, A Tale of Today. That was 1873, but also a tale of today, 2025. Twain's use of the word gilded was deliberately pointed. To gild something means to coat it with a thin layer of gold. Some of the smarter students are getting ahead of me here on where I'm going, implying a shiny, prosperous veneer over a cheaper or flawed reality. On the surface, the era saw incredible fortunes made by so-called robber barons, who Joe Biden was talking about at the top of this video. Industrial titans in rail, oil, steel, finance. But underneath that glitter lay significantly less significant social problems, such as rampant political corruption. Sound familiar? Bribery, $2 million a pardon, just to name off the top of my head. Could probably go on for about 10 minutes, the bribery. All these people sitting behind Trump sending him $1 million. Disney sent him $1 million. Apple sent him $1 million. Bribery, enormous wealth inequality, what we've been talking about. A new corporate elite grew fabulously rich while laborers, immigrants, and farmers struggled. Poor working conditions. Bezos says, here, pee in this bottle. If you have to use the bathroom at Amazon, pee in this bottle. Like the pee jar guy. Maybe he just worked at Amazon. Maybe I misunderstood him. Urban overcrowding and squalor, right? So calling it the Gilded Age captured the irony. It looked golden on the outside. Mansions, lavish parties, new technologies, Instagram. But underneath it was rife with inequality, exploitation, and corruption. And not to be too on the nose, Mark Twain was going for a metaphor, not a living embodiment. But do you see anything in that room that's not gilded? Even the turd sitting in that chair right there is gilded. Slaps this stuff on him every day. My advice to the $9.99 eggs guy. Get on the golden tier right now, right? For these eggs right here. Look at that. It's a literal egg that Donald Trump signed that's gold that someone bought for like $5,000. Get on the golden premium tier for eggs now. $19.99 a month. Everything's going to be a subscription. Feudalistic society. Where do you think all this comes from? This didn't just spawn out of nowhere. The problem with not having you on a hook is they can't reel you in when they need you. We are entering the new Gilded Age, the Neo-Gilded Age. I don't know if it's been coined yet. If they do coin that, though, am I the first person to say Neo-Gilded Age? Probably not. I'm the first person you heard say it. So credit it to me, where the only thing getting gilded is your debt. We've got $9 eggs, multiple billionaire overlords rubbing shoulders on the inaugural platform, and a middle class that's shrinking faster than Charlie Kirk's face on that giant head of his. Right? If this isn't feudalism, if this isn't neo-feudalism, man, I gotta tell you, 20 years of politics, political science, I don't know what is. The Chud Report. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. I don't think we want to do a live show tomorrow, right? I don't even want to watch the inauguration. I'm probably not going to watch it. I'm just gonna get the highlights. Maybe you guys can fill me in over on, I don't know, man. I'm doing okay on Threads, but now, Zuckerberg, he's kind of trying to make Threads into Twitter 2.0. This guy right here, Dana White, who definitely doesn't beat his wife. Don't sue me. Dana White is in charge of what gets posted and what doesn't. If you talk to me on Threads, I'll respond to you. I'm trying to get my blue sky going. If enough of you in the comments want me to live stream the inauguration, I'll do it. But I don't want to do it. I want you to know right now, I don't want to do it. And speaking of people in the comments, I better get 2 positive comments from these people right here. Felix Fungal, Bungle, whatever your name is. You know, he's like, what is this? What is this, a joke every 5 seconds? You know? It's what separates me from C-SPAN. So this episode was a downer. So you better leave a good comment. Same with you. Same with you over here. I love you, but you're a clown. Why do you always gotta be a clown? That comment actually had a triple, quadruple, 50 triple times check just to make sure it wasn't my mom posting it, you know? I love you, son, but why you always gotta be a clown? So those two people, I want some positive comments from you because this is a downer episode. The Chud Report.
We are moving rapidly into an oligarchic form of society. Never before in American history have so few billionaires, so few people have so much wealth and so much power. Never before has there been so much concentration of ownership, sector after sector, power of Wall Street, and never before in American history, and we better talk about this, have the people on top had so much political power. We can't go around the world saying, oh, well, you know, in Russia, Putin has an oligarchy. Well, we got an oligarchy here, too. And in this last election, in both parties, billionaires spent huge amounts of money to elect their candidates.